Hi, this is Mark Collins, live and direct from the floor of the Emerald Cup here in sunny Oakland, California. I'm delighted to be with Dan Herer of the famous Jack Herer brand. He's here at the Emerald Cup, working on his business, expanding his business. Dan, what do you think of the Emerald Cup? And tell us a little bit about your work.
The move to Oakland has created a very, very intimate spot for the Emerald Cup to bring in, legacy growers, legacy operators, producers out of Northern California into a very close-knit family sales and marketing environment, which sometimes gets lost at larger venues. But, it's a new look for the Emerald Cup.
Yeah,
and
it feels so good. I really feel the community here.
But the nice thing is that every time you turn around, you're running into a friend. You're running into somebody that you admire. You're running into the folks that have, bled, sweat, cried their way through.
I literally saw Dan Herer here. One of my favorite brands, of course, is the famous Jack Herer brand. But when I saw Dan, I immediately saw someone, and I knew I was in the right arena, because there are so many legacy people who don't really have a venue, and the Emerald Cup, I think, provides that venue. But there's something more too. I think I love what you were talking about, community, and how this event brings people together. But tell me a little bit more about the Jack Herer brand, and how the Jack Herer brand is expanding in the United States through IP and products. Could you tell us a bit about the history of the brand and how important it is?
Well, my father's legacy in cannabis has been in 50 years of fighting for the opportunity, fighting for freedom, fighting for the ability to raise a family, build in a community, and participate in an economic
opportunity
for not just the people that cannabis touches, but for the communities that cannabis benefits. And even if you don't believe in cannabis, cannabis is benefiting communities, whether it's through local sales of food, restaurants, travel, destination. Cannabis is touching all of that and expanding our community and allowing other people to see what cannabis is, and taking the fear out of what we are, what we represent, and how we affect how they live in their community. And most of them have a really different view of what their impressions of us are. And when we're able to come into a venue like this and really sort of speak to a community, represent the very best of cannabis, it takes down barriers. It takes bricks out of walls. It allows information and education to expand opportunities.
And what would your dad say about the Emerald Cup now, if he was here with us right now, Dan?
He'd say hello to a lot of his friends.
That's beautiful.
But on the other side, seeing younger generations putting their time and energy and belief into this plant and creating new products, new opportunities, and believing in what he was fighting for so many years, along with other people that stood by him, stood next to him, stood with him, and fought with them to make these opportunities become a reality. And it's still not quite there yet. We still need to be activists within the space. We still need to fight for cannabis opportunities and rights and freedom.
Unfinished.
Because right now we're more at let's just and I'm going to try to choose my words carefully.
You're such a diplomat.
But state-sponsored extortion is very problematic for the cannabis industry.
That's a nice way of putting it.
And I don't know if that's a nice way of putting it, but it's the truth. Any way that they can extract the dollar from what it is that we're doing, because of the dollars that they may not be getting for the war on drugs, because cannabis, the fight for, the war against cannabis
isn't profitable.
It was profitable. Now they have to figure out how to keep those same people employed by regulating us. So, where do they get that money from? They get it from the same people they used to put in jail. Except now they're like, hey, you pay us late, it's going to be a 50%, increase to what you owe.
Yeah, Tim Blake said we're living through an extinction event. Yes. Dan, what do you see as the future now? I want to try to end this interview on a high note, no pun intended, but I know everybody knows the challenges in the industry. They know how difficult it is. can you give us some hope, Dan, what you see in the future? I mean, I see the Jack Herer brand expanding all across the United States, and that's giving me hope because it shows me that the values that Jack had are also expanding across the United States. But give us some hope, Dan. What do you see?
Well, the hope is when you look around at events like this, whether it's legacy growers or operators, so the new folks coming in and bringing new ideas and new products and new processes that change and lift up what we're doing and what will be the future. I think that's always exciting.
Innovation, basically.
And the other side is that the fact that these legacy folks are still here and they're still fighting every day. If you're existing today, even if you're not making margins, even if you're just making it, right now that's a level of succeeding.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that are being drummed out, they're being pushed out, they're being, literally bought out. And I'm just, I'm one of those people that fight every day. There's lots of people that use my father's name without license. I try to figure out how we can work with them or get them to change their ideas. But the problems with cannabis are not overwhelming to the point where we can't make it a better place for everybody to exist, thrive, and really have a tremendous future. But we need to keep fighting and, showing up at events like this and seeing people just by being here is a plus for the whole cannabis industry.
That's very beautiful. I love that idea of community coming out, working, fighting every day of the week, fighting for our industry, fighting for an industry that we want. So, Dan, where can people find out more about you and your work and the Jack Herer brand?
Follow us on Jack Herer Brands on Instagram or go to jackherer.com and follow the story. All
the usual places. Jack Herer on Instagram, jackherer.com. You can find them here.
And if you want to know the Jack Herer story, go to YouTube, look up the Emperor of Hemp, look at what it took to fight through the 70s, 80s, 90s, and into the 2000s, how the voices of those that stood with my dad changed how we're operating today. And educate yourself, educate yourself, educate yourself. Check out the Emperor Wears No Clothes, the book that my father wrote in 1985 that's more relevant today than it's ever been in its past. And let that help you find your own voice and stand up, fight.
Thank you, Dan. And here we are. There you have it with Dan Herer at the Emerald Cup here in sunny Oakland, California. You've been listening to Highly Capitalized Network. Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Bella.